One Piece, 10 characters who should have died but came back. Though One Piece would be very different if death was more common, there are plenty of characters in the series that really should be dead. At its core, Eiichiro Oda wants One Piece to be an escapist fantasy. While this should go without saying for plenty of fantasy media, Oda really takes it to heart when he thinks about how his audience will feel after an arc. Such a creative dichotomy has led to one of his most hardened rules and infamous takes, not letting characters die. While this is a rule that has been broken in a few key situations, there have been several more instances in which characters that would have definitely died in any other series are inconspicuously brought back without any good reason as to how they survived. Though the series would be very different if death was more common, there are plenty of characters in the series that really should be dead at this point. 10. Pound. Pound is one of the freshest examples of Oda upsetting his fans over logic. When he last appeared during the whole Cake Island arc, he managed to prevent Charlotte Oven from boiling the waters that his family was getting away on. In turn, as he waved off the grandson that would never meet him, Oven would pop up behind him with a heated spear. However, that somehow didn't happen. Within the latest cover story, it's revealed that Pound was somehow left on one of Big Mom's tart boats and left to sail away, all the way to Dressrosa. While this did allow him to finally reconnect with his family, many fans were still left wondering how Pound still had a head on his shoulders. 9. Pell. There literally shouldn't be anything left of Pell at this point. Pell is the lead protector of the Nefertari family, the ruling family over Alabasta. As the cherry on top of Sir Crocodile's attempt at a coup, he planted a massive bomb in the middle of the country's civil war. With neither Princess Vivi or the Straw Hats capable of disarming it, Pell had no other choice but to personally carry the bomb and fly it far away from the citizens, leaving only a bright flash to be seen from a distance. This was one of the noblest sacrifices within the entire series, that is until he somehow came back just covered in bandages. 8. Bentham. Bentham was Sir Crocodile's number 2 agent in Baroque Works and Monkey D. Luffy's main ally during the Impel Down arc. After reuniting with Alabasta, the two fought tooth and nail to get to Ace. All the while, they began to learn how powerful and fearsome the establishment's warden, Magellan, truly was. When even Luffy nearly died defeating him, the two didn't plan to meet with him during their escape. However, Luffy's escape team needed someone to open up the gates, and there was no one else but the copycat man who could infiltrate Impel Down's control room. When he was caught in the middle of opening the doors, Bentham proudly made his last stand against Magellan. It wouldn't be until after the time skip that fans would see that he not only somehow survived but was now ruling the secret level 5. 5. 7. Wiper. The Wiper was one of the native Shandians who fought against Skypiea and God's army during the Skypiea arc. He was the guy equipped with a surfboard and a bazooka. However, those two items don't compare to his coup de grace for defeating the god, Enel. With his reject dial, Wiper was able to take one of Enel's most powerful blasts and redirect its concussive energy with 20x the power. However, with the reject dial being a literal double-edged weapon, that meant Wiper himself also had to take the same amount of force. Despite using this item, multiple items with the intent of killing a god, Wiper himself could somehow survive. 6. Monkey D. Luffy. As the main character of One Piece, Monkey D. Luffy has had his fair share of meetings with death. He's fought against seemingly insurmountable foes as essentially a living toy that couldn't be near water but was constantly near water. His most scathing defeat of death came during the Alabasta arc. While the power of medicine and other devil fruits has saved him from being poisoned and burned, the series didn't really explain how he could survive being impaled a couple of times by Sir Crocodile. Bleeding and dehydrated, there really shouldn't be anything left of the Straw Hat Captain. 5. Roronoa Zoro. While Luffy has bled quite a bit for his crew, his pain doesn't seem to compare to his more foolhardy and much more human swordsman, Roronoa Zoro. Zoro survived a massive bodily cut from Hawkeye Mihawk. He was diced several times by Daz Bones, and he literally took all of the concentrated stress from Luffy's bouts on Thriller Bark. That's a level of stress that Luffy was barely able to survive. And that was put on top of Zoro's own wounds from the arc. That scene from Thriller Bark was a moment that One Piece fans everywhere thought that Zoro was definitely going to die. But because of how awesome his comeback was, everyone just let the fact that he survived the slide. 4. Bellamy. There wasn't much reason for Bellamy to a comeback and his heartfelt exchange with Luffy during Dressrosa. Prior to that arc, Bellamy had lost to Luffy in a humiliating display. When Doflamingo caught word of it, he personally traveled to Mock Town to give his subordinates a lesson. By controlling Sarquis with his strings, Doflamingo had Bellamy's second-in-command wildly swing through the air before bringing his sword down on his own captain. However, Doflamingo apparently let Bellamy live during this instance and allowed him to prove himself once again on an excursion to Skypiea, a trip that Bellamy was also somehow the only surviving member of. 3. Gecko Moria. To be fair, one shouldn't have expected Gecko Moria to have died, given that his supposed death happened off-screen. However, given the moment, it seemed very convincing that he did. In the aftermath of the Paramount War, Doflamingo was apparently hunting down Gecko Moria due to an order from a higher-up, likely Kaido gave Doflamingo's affiliation with him. Doflamingo would later reveal during a meeting with the World Government Commander-in-Chief, Kong, that Gecko Moria just happened to disappear. However, it was easy to assume at this moment that he was just lying to cover his tracks. However, Moria did reappear recently in the story, as he was apparently looking for his crew. Unfortunately, for him, Blackbeard had some answers that he didn't want. 2. G5. Punk Hazard had one of the most intense, ticking clocks in the series. Smiley was Caesar Clown's pet lizard made of concentrated poison and part of Caesar Clown's most deathly projects. Smiley would revert back to his original, gaseous form by poisoning Smiley with a new candy, but be even more deadly. A cloud of gas began to enrapture all of Punk Hazard, leaving the Straw Hats and Vice Admiral Smokers G5 to simply run. G5 would, unfortunately, get caught in the toxic cloud and be petrified where they stood. However, they were apparently just petrified in stone. When the Straw Hats discovered this, it apparently just took an antidote to keep them from dying. Coming from a man infamous for making deadly weapons, this one wasn't that deadly. 1. Sabo. Sabo was the adopted brother to Ace and Luffy, who ran away from a life of nobility for a life of adventure. However, after his parents finally caught him, he decided to leave the sea for good at a young age. Unbeknownst to him, a celestial dragon was apparently on their way to visit the Goa Kingdom, and as his humble ship passed theirs, the celestial dragon took it upon themselves to kill what looked like a lowly pirate to them. Being shot point blank by a massive cannon, it seemed like Sabo had surely died. Unbeknownst to Luffy and Ace, Monkey D. Dragon had apparently saved him and raised him to become the Revolutionary Army's chief of staff.